What's up, lore masters? In 2371, an older variant bird of prey was able to catch the USS Enterprise D by surprise and attack it with the ability to bypass the Enterprise's shields. The Galaxy class, under the command of William Riker, would take massive damage before ultimately defeating the Klingon vessel. Unfortunately, due to sustained damage, a warp core breach occurs and saucer separation would be required to save everyone on board. The saucer crash lands on Viridian 3 with minimal losses from the whole ordeal. However, the question is, should Riker be held accountable for the destruction of the Enterprise? Let's take a look at his actions and break it down. After being captured, Geordi LaForge is ultimately returned in exchange for Captain Picard. Upon his return, he is given a basic physical. However, neither Dr. Crusher nor Commander Riker verify that LaForge's implants and visor had not been modified, even though they both know LaForge was brainwashed and his visor altered in TNG's The Mind's Eye, and thus is something they need to be concerned about as it is possible. One would think after a plan like that almost destroyed the Federation Klingon alliance, everyone would come up with a way for that never to happen again, perhaps a policy in Starfleet that would be enacted that required to have all implants be double-checked, and the officer required to take time off to ensure there was no brainwashing and no modifications or alterations to their equipment. But I mean, that was probably just considered stupid, am I right? After going apparently everywhere in God's universe, LaForge would finally make his way to engineering. This would allow the Duras sisters, the Klingons in the Bird of Prey, to obtain the shield modulations of the Galaxy-class vessel. The Bird of Prey would then fire, scoring 2 direct hits on the Federation ship with what is likely torpedoes. Riker orders that they return fire, and we see the Enterprise's phasers get a solid hit on the Bird of Prey. Depending on how you interpret the scenes, the Bird of Prey hits the Enterprise D with 3 solid shots and a possible of up to a total of 7 in all. We do know that the Enterprise hits them at least once, however it is possible they return fire using phasers an additional 2 to 3 times. Riker would not attempt to beat them militarily or tactically, but utilizing the failing technology of the older vessel, he would force it to cloak and destroy it with a photon torpedo once the shields were down. Let's take a look at the specs of both ships at the time. It's important to remember that this is 2371, as I mentioned, and we now have not only a Borg threat that's always looming, but the Dominion are present as well. To be fair, the Galaxy class is fairly old at this point, with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of light years on it. The vessel had anywhere from 12 to 13 phaser arrays, 2 photon torpedo launchers, and antimatter mines. Its weapon systems were also upgraded in 2370, granting the photon torpedoes a higher yield, along with enhanced targeting sensors. The shields of the Galaxy class are among the most powerful in the fleet, observed being able to withstand attacks from multiple ships at once, and several different phenomena. However, it is worth noting that the Galaxy class, in my opinion, is effectively a glass cannon, and that once the shields are breached, the ship can be taken down in short order. Looking at the Bird of Prey, we do know that it is a D-12, an older variant that has some fatal flaws. We can't be sure what weapons it has exactly, so let's just give it the max that it would on a Bird of Prey. This means that it would have photon torpedo launchers, both fore and aft, as well as 2 disruptor cannons and phasers. Based on a size analysis of it compared to the Enterprise D, it is likely a ship design that's closer to the Burrell class variant than that of the Cavort. Now let's look at the commanders. The Klingons have the Duras sisters, as I've noted. The sisters are capable commanders with the ability to field entire house fleets in battle. Though some episodes show them more as idiots, this doesn't generally seem to be the MO for them. They do seem highly competent. Riker is considered one of the best field commanders in Starfleet, and specifically is named as a great tactician, well, according to Picard at least. He has served on the Enterprise for years and knows its capabilities in and out. When breaking down this battle, it's exceptionally hard not to hold Riker to account. He had multiple options available to him. First, even without shields, the Galaxy class should have easily been able to overpower the Klingon Bird of Prey. In TNG's Q-Who, the weapons of the Enterprise at full power are able to inflict significant damage to a Borg cube. It damages the vessel at least by 20%, reducing life support for the Borg to minimal standards. This is before the weapons are upgraded, mind you. So you're telling me that an upgraded Galaxy-class starship firing all of its weapons would not have completely obliterated the Klingon vessel. Some have tried to argue that the Duras sisters were targeting the secondary hull in order to take out the warp core and cripple the ship, which means that the vessel was not firing at full power. Even if I accepted this, there is no way that a full spread of photon torpedoes, along with even reduced phaser fire, wouldn't at least put a significant dent in the Klingon ship. Additionally, instead of standing toe-to-toe with the bird of prey, Riker orders that the ship turn around and try to run. This exposes the secondary hull and, more importantly, the nacelles to consistent fire by the Klingon bird of prey, which it takes advantage of. If Riker was going to run, he should have dipped down or up. Yes, this would be putting the saucer section or the secondary hull in harm's way, but at least you're more protecting your nacelles a bit better than turning completely around. Also, this is exactly why you don't have families on starships, so you don't have to worry about them in the saucer section. This right here. Thank God they stopped this policy soon after. All of this is moot, however. We know from dialogue in TNG, DS9, and Voyager that randomly modulating shields once attacked every 10 seconds is standard operating procedure for Starfleet vessels after the Borg attack. This includes entanglements with non-Borg species. So once the attack occurs, Worf should have instantly began remodulating the shields, and if he didn't, it should have been ordered by Riker. While the Enterprise would have still taken some pretty heavy hits, the shielding being restored would have meant the end of the battle ultimately. And again, you can't tell me it's not something that Riker hadn't thought of, because he had been in battle multiple times and was a great tactician according to dialogue. When reflecting on the battle itself, there is literally no way the Enterprise should have taken lethal damage unless the one in charge was so incompetent as to let it occur. In the end, Riker should have probably lost his commission and definitely lost his command. The Enterprise literally could not lose, and yet somehow Riker found a way. But all of these are ultimately my opinions. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.